Living the life.
Beautiful story, beautiful story.
Good. Brother Ifak, why are we not conscious that as spirits we were once in the heavenly world? What did we say?
Thank you. We were once in the heavenly world. It is true. Some of us are not conscious. Not every human being. There are some human beings who are conscious. And there are three factors that why we are not, most of us are not conscious. Number one, forget about the present life. You are in this body and you are not drinking. You don't take alcohol. But you have lived on this earth before. This is not the first time. You have lived on this earth before a number of times, died and went back to the heaven world and came back, died and went and came back. And at least at one of your body, you were taking alcohol. Every human being, no exception. Whether today you are a saint or what, you had taken alcohol before. And now you feel it is not good. There was a purpose for us to take alcohol. Maybe when we get to that, I will clarify it. There was a purpose for us to take alcohol. So when you take the alcohol, it causes a benumbing effect on the spiritual principle. It makes the spiritual principle weak so that you are able to cherish the opportunities on the physical plane. And so it has weakened your spiritual side. It was purposely done in order to weaken the spiritual side of us so that we can cherish the opportunities on the physical plane. Because if we know that we come from the heavenly world, we may not value the things on this earth. We feel that we don't belong to this place. We will go back to our Father. And so there is no need to waste our time in order to develop on the spiritual world. So it was purposely designed to eclipse us, to eclipse the spiritual world from us so that we don't know, we forget. And that's where the Bible teaches that it is appointed once unto man to die after that judgment. Hebrews 9:27. Okay? It is just for us to forget our spiritual nature. That is alcohol that was used in order to cause this problem. Two, there is something called the water of forgetfulness. When every woman is about to give birth, there is always water that flows from her private part. And the child that is in the womb, drink that water. And the moment the child drinks that water, it forgets about everything in heaven. Before it drinks that water, if it is in the stomach, it still remembers everything about the spiritual world. But the moment it drinks that water, that's the end of it. That's the end of that memory. So when it is born in the physical world here, it forgets everything about the spiritual side. The third factor is that we haven't developed the necessary faculty, the necessary vehicles, so that we will have memory. Okay, and that's what we have forgotten. But some people have developed it and have memory. Even when they are dead, and they are in the heaven world, they know their family, where the family they were born in, the village, the town, the house, they know everything. And when they are born here too, they remember everything about heaven. Whether in sleep or in death, they have unbroken memory. They still have their memory intact, like the way we have the memory when we are in the physical world, in the physical body like this. When they are dead or during sleep, they have that memory. So it is some of us who haven't developed that we don't know that we came from the heaven. We are not conscious that we were there. But some people are conscious of it. And some people, they know even their past life and they know their future. But a lot of us don't know our past life. We don't know where we came from. Whether I was a white man or a black man, I don't know. But some people do know. Yeah. But these are the three factors. Alcohol, the water of forgetfulness, and lack of proper development are the things why we are not conscious that we came from the heaven world.
Just to clarify something here.
Yep.
You mentioned that we were purposefully given certain things so that we could forget about our heavenly world.
Yes.
And concentrate on the material world.
Perfect.
Who were the ones who gave us those things?
The leaders of humanity, okay? There are some spiritual beings who were guiding us, and they wanted us to cherish the opportunities on the physical world. But we realized that we were being from heaven world, and for that matter, we don't need to waste our time here. So they have to obscure that memory so that we can use our effort in order to develop the physical world. So it is the higher beings.
So humanity has higher beings leading us in this journey from and back to God.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In part one, we mentioned over here in the studio that we should not take the writings of the Bible literally, that it contains more than we just read on the surface. The stories, the parables speak to very deep things. That was our confirmation 2 weeks ago. Now, we will do a more detailed recap of what we discussed in part one. And I'll begin with you, Brother Ifak. What did we say is the significance of the story of the prodigal son in the teachings of the Rosicrucian Fellowship.
Thank you, brother, and good evening to our cherished listeners. The significance of the story of the prodigal son is that I said that the prodigal son is a generic name for humanity. We, those who live on earth here, it represents that each one of us is a prodigal son, and all of us collectively are prodigal sons. Now, the journey of the prodigal son tells about the pilgrimage of the spirit, that is, of us, we humanity who came from heaven world to this earth. We are pilgrims on this earth, and that journey has three components. One, how we came from heaven world to this place. At a certain period of time, we were building our bodies, and we were unconscious of what was happening, but we were helped by higher beings to build our body, and that period was called involution. Involution. So we came down here through the process of involution by building bodies. Then when we reached the nadir of this earth, this world, we became conscious. The spirit is awakened. The spirit became awake. And now the spirit has gained self-consciousness and also consciousness of the world outside it, that is the outer world. That's the second segment. The third segment is that after gaining self-consciousness, the spirit is not content to remain in this world. It wants to go back to where it came from, its heavenly home. And that's why the spirit said in verse 18, that is Luke 15, verse 18, the spirit said that I will rise and go to my father. So it was not happy to remain here because what it feed here, it called it chaff for the swine. So the next segment is to go back. And that process of going back is not just an event, it is a process. Because in the process of involution, it has built bodies. And we are told in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven, or cannot inherit the kingdom of God. That is, flesh and blood cannot go to the spiritual world. And once it has built bodies, some of which are flesh and blood, it has to strip itself of these bodies. It has to engage in the process of dissolving these bodies in order to go back to the heaven world. It is like if you put a cork in a container, it will float on the surface. But if you want the cork to get down to the bottom of that container, you have to put weight on it for it to sink. And if you want the cork to get back to the surface, you have to take the weight off before it can float. That is exactly what it is. We put weight on ourselves in order to get to this place. And if we want to go back to our heavenly home, we have to take those weight off. We have to dissolve those bodies that we have built before we can float and go back. This is actually what the prodigal son signifies. Humanity that came down from the heaven world by the process of involution. We have gained consciousness when we reach this world, this physical world. We came down to gain experience, and when we reach here, we have gained consciousness. We were having all consciousness over there. When we reach here, we have now gained self-consciousness. We didn't have self-consciousness. We have gained now self-consciousness. And during the process of dissolving the body, we will develop universal consciousness. The all consciousness that we had before, we will develop it in addition to the self-consciousness that we have, so that we can go back to God. This is exactly what it signifies. Thank you.
So the prodigal son signifies humanity in general.
Yes.
Our journey from the heavenly world to the material world and going back more refined in the heavenly world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tony, the purpose of all this is what? The journey of the spirit. What did we say about it?
Thank you, my brother, and good evening to our cherished listeners. The purpose of studying or knowing this, the story of the prodigal son, like what my brother has told us, that Christ wanted to know where we came from and where we are and how we should go back to where we came from. You have all sunk into the material world to such an extent that man today, or individual today, it is our lower nature which control us. The spirit within us, which is the godly aspect of us, we don't even listen to it. It's continuous speaking to us, we don't hear. The mind itself is being controlled by the lower desires that control us to such an extent that we are behaving like the swines feeding in the field of the material world. Everything we think about is materiality. So it has reached a time that Christ was telling us that we should awaken the Christ within us to lead us back into our Father's land, because this is not the place that we are supposed to be. We are supposed to allow the Spirit within us, the Christ Spirit within us, to lead us. And to lead us, we have to overcome all our lower desires, the fitness, the evil thoughts, the wrongdoings that we have been doing. And that is where the Christ Spirit, when it takes over, then it will be able to lead us, and then we will be able to go back into our Father's house.
So, in a sense, we are to unfold the Christ within.
Yes.
So that we can go back to our heavenly home.
Yeah.
Brother Ifak, you mentioned about these bodies. What are those various bodies that the Spirit clothed itself with on its journey into materiality?
Thank you, brother. There are 4 bodies, beginning with the physical body, the body that we see. We see everybody by the physical body, and we think that is all man. That is not man. Man is the spirit inhabiting in bodies or in a body, but man is not body. Man is his spirit. So the bodies are 1, the physical body that we can see. 2, there is another body that we cannot see, but it actually exists. It is called the vital body. Indeed, that is the one that makes the physical body alive. Without the vital body, if the vital body is out, the physical body is a dead mass. It cannot act, it cannot do anything. It is the vital body that gives life. That's why they call it vital. It gives vitality. So the next is the vital body. The third is the desire body. That gives us our desires, our feelings. Otherwise, we will be able to move, but we have no aim, no desire. We just move aimlessly. So it is the desire body that gives our desires so that we will try to achieve some things. Without that, we have no aim. So it is the desire body that gives us feelings and emotions. Then 4th is the mind that gives us to think. That gives us the ability to think, and that gives us purpose. Okay. So the mind gives us purpose. When you are moving, why are you moving to this direction and not to that direction? It is the mind that tells you what you need, and that's why you are moving in a certain direction, or you are taking a certain action. Purpose. These are the 4 bodies that the Spirit has. The Spirit itself is clothed with spiritual body, and that's a part of the Spirit. But when we are talking of body, we are talking of these 4 bodies that the Spirit possesses.
Yes. You mentioned that the Spirit is clothed with 3 other spiritual bodies.
Yes.
I think last 2 weeks we mentioned them, and we said that they constitute the ego.
Yes.
What exactly did we say?
Good, exactly. The spirit, the reality is called the virgin spirit. But when the virgin spirit is clothed with 3 vehicles, spiritual vehicle, not material, clothed with 3 spiritual vehicle, it becomes the ego. Okay, that is the conscious part of man which feels, thinks, and acts, and distinguishes itself from all other things. So that is what the spirit is. Virgin spirit clothed with 3 spiritual vehicles. The first spiritual vehicle, the lowest of the 3 spiritual vehicles, is called the human spirit. The human spirit. The second is the life spirit, which is the Christ within each and every body, every human being, the life spirit. And the third and the highest of them is the divine spirit, which corresponds to the Father, and the life spirit corresponds to Christ, and the human spirit corresponds to Jehovah, the Holy Spirit. These are the 3 spiritual vehicles. The spirit does not dispose of these after each death. When the physical body dies, it will dispose of the vital body within 3.5 days. It will dispose of that. Then the desire body, it will clothe the desire body for a period and dispose of that one also. Then it will clothe with the mind for a period and dispose of that one too. So the 4 material vehicles that we call the bodies, it will dispose of each one of them before coming back to the next life. Then it will build them anew, it will build them fresh. But 3 spiritual bodies, it doesn't dispose of them. That is part of the spirit. So that is it.
That is part of the Spirit.
Yes.
Tony, what was the status of the Spirit in the heavenly world with God before it journeys into this material world?
Thank you. When you are with God, we have all consciousness. Then we decided that we wanted to gain self-consciousness. So we set out from our Father's house, and we are driven to acquire. Whilst you are coming, you are acquiring the various bodies until you have reached the stage where you are in the material world now. So now you have the consciousness. Everybody is you are conscious of yourself. I'm conscious of myself. But you have to go up. Once that you have got the consciousness to be like our Father in heaven who knows everything, is conscious of himself, then we have to also develop all the bodies that we have acquired before getting to this material world. Mm-hmm. We have lost all the potentials that we have when we were with our Father. So it's now time that we have to dissolve all the loose clothes or the bad things that we have acquired to make us sink into the material world so that we can build proper bodies to get back into our Father's house, because we can't go with our Father's house with these bodies that we have now. Because say flesh and blood cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So you can go there as self-conscious and all